I said bullshit at one point, and I kind of looked, and a family got up and left. And I don't know if they left because I said bullshit, but I like to feel I had that power.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Nerds You're Looking For podcast, a weekly nerd culture podcast that discusses nerd culture, I guess, through various segments. My name is Tyler Hunt, alongside my co-host, as always, Patty Coon. How's it going, Pat?
I'm good. Could you sound more bored when you were doing that intro?
I was just really concentrating on not fucking it up. So,
and you still fucked it up.
And can I just say, after our PopCon episode, how glad I am that the censorship is back off and I can say fuck.
Yeah, that was something. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun. We had a blast, but I kind of felt awkward because there was like, when we were recording on the stage, there was families like eating lunch, kind of watching us. And I was just like, I said bullshit at one point, and I kind of looked, and a family got up and left. And I don't know if they left because I said bullshit, but I like to feel I had that power. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like you said, a lot of fun, but we tried censoring ourselves when we first started this podcast, and you know, our true selves just kind of slipped through, so it's probably just best that we're unfiltered. Yeah,
for sure. We did get a lot of questions because I made a best of CD, and I felt weird last year. I did the same thing last year for PopCon, and I felt weird last year afterwards because there was like kids, not like super little kids, but younger kids that were coming up and taking those CDs, and I'm like, we say the F word and make a lot of dick jokes on there. So this year I made sure that I put like a little explicit warning on. I don't know how many goddamn people ask us, what does that explicit mean? Are you guys like sex stuff? I'm like, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing sex stuff.
On a podcast.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I made the joke. No, that's a different podcast. I don't even know what that means.
You know what joke I made a ton, and at a certain point, it was just like a reflex. People would come up and ask about stuff and ask, is this free or is that free? Because we had like a lot of flyers and stickers and stuff people could take for the podcast. And I go, yeah, take whatever you want. Just don't take my laptop. And then we high-fived and they left, and I did
you high-five every time?
No, that was a lie. I didn't high-five one. Actually, there were high-fives. There were people that would come by and give me high-fives. It was strange. And apparently asked for my autograph as well. So
yeah,
that was
we got our first autograph request. There's no way that kid knew who we were.
No, they had us confused for somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
If that kid's listening to this podcast, then the father that brought him up to our table should be ashamed of himself.
Because we do sex stuff, apparently. But no, it was a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to next year. I think I just kind of have to keep my expectations a little bit lower and just.
That's right. Yeah, really looking forward to next year. Just have to keep my expectations in check.
I don't know. I feel like I build it up and then it's not a big deal, but it's just not the big deal I think I make it out to be in my mind. And I really just, by Sunday, I'm just here to have a good time, just kind of hang out with people, just chit chat with people.
And leave Tyler at the table by himself.
You got your feelings hurt so much.
It's like, hey man, I know I wasn't here all day Friday because I had to work, but I'm going to leave you by yourself at the table half of the day.
I really did feel bad when you told me you had to dump, and then I left and didn't come back for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, well. You ready to get this thing going?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If this is your first episode, we appreciate you checking us out. We're going to start things off a little bit differently. Normally, we like to check in with each other. We call it what we're into. We're still doing that. But to be honest with you, Tyler and I pretty much have been just playing Arkham Knight for the last couple of weeks, so we figure why pretend like we're into anything else, because other than the X-Files, which I talked about when we talked with Stevray Bro at Indie PopCon, this is all I've been doing is playing Arkham Knight. So Tyler and I are going to just talk about Arkham Knight. So we're going to kind of, it's not a review because neither one of us has finished the story yet. It's just kind of our first impressions. So Tyler, what are your first impressions of Arkham Knight?
So I'm about 70% through the campaign, so I'm closer to being done than I am to starting for sure. But like you said, I'm not really confident in giving a set review just yet because for me, this game is like 95% about the story. Like I play these games for the story because they're really strong Batman stories. And as everyone knows, and just what a huge Batman fan I am, what a huge Batman fan you are, like it's awesome to have a solid story with, especially Kevin Conroy voicing Batman. So since the story is plays such a big part in what I'm going to end up eventually thinking about the game. No solid review score or anything, but I mean, just like you said, first impressions, it's beautiful, a very beautiful game. I'm so happy to play as Batman with Kevin Conroy as the voice. I mean, he is Batman. He's probably the best Batman ever, like film included. His voice is the embodiment of Batman. Besides that, I love all the intricacies of this game that kind of play up the mythos of Batman. I mean, the Arkham games are known for doing that, especially Arkham Asylum. There's little nods to the past games, little nods to the greater Batman and DC universe, which I enjoy. And then just overall, the gameplay is fun. I mean, it's not much different than the other Arkham games, except for that the Batmobile's in it. And I'll be honest, I didn't like the Batmobile at first. I thought that they were really shoehorning it in. But as I've gotten closer to the end of the game, I do find myself driving it more often than not. And I'm having a lot more fun with it. I thought that it was going to be a lot of race here, race there type situations, and it's not been that. So I'm definitely not hating the Batmobile as much as I was. There is some fun to be had with it. But besides that, I mean, I guess that's my first impressions. So let's see what you have to say about it.
Well, I'm not quite as far as you are. I think you mentioned on the podcast that you took a week off, not just for that. I mean, we went to Indie PopCon, but you got to play it a little bit more than I did. Plus, Amazon kind of fucked me a little bit. That I ordered some stuff for PopCon, like some last minute stuff for the booth, and I have Amazon Prime, so I was supposed to get release date shipping for Arkham Knight, but they just shipped the shit together, and so Arkham Knight got there a day late. So I was already kind of busy with work at Indie PopCon, and then it shipped a day late, so I kind of felt like I was a little late to the party, but therefore, I really tried to just like race through the story because they're trying to keep the Arkham Knight's identity a secret in this game, and I was afraid the longer that I waited to play it and beat it, the more likely it was that it was gonna get spoiled, like on IGN or just Facebook or whatever. So I tried to race through it. It ended up getting spoiled for me anyways, but not really, because for me there was the most logical person that it could be, and obviously I'm not going to say who it is. It turns out it is.
It doesn't take the world's greatest detective to figure it out.
I was going to make that joke because that's actually one of my nitpicks of the game, is that he's supposedly the world's greatest detective, but it takes him forever to figure out who it is.
Well, I mean, I could argue that. And there's no way I can argue that without spoiling it. So I will refrain from arguing it. That I just want to put it out there that I have a strong argument on why he would not think it's this person.
Okay. I'm not there yet. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind. I have not. I want to say that I'm like 40% of the way through the game, but that's also because I haven't been doing any side missions, and I believe that counts towards your percentage.
I would imagine it does.
Yeah, and I haven't done hardly any side missions or anything like that. I've been just doing the Scarecrow / Arkham Knight stuff.
See, I've finished all of the side missions that are possible to have finished at the point I'm at.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's fun. I enjoy the side missions. The thing that this game is lacking that the other Arkham games had are boss battles, Like, I've only participated in a couple boss battles, and it's really lame. Like, those were my favorite parts of the other Arkham games. And here I am 70%, and I've actually had, like, what, two real boss battles?
You fight Arkham Knight in the helicopter, and then I can't think of another one.
Yeah,
I've gone through.
There's a side quest that kind of results in a boss battle, but it's not anything too intense. It's nothing like facing Killer Croc in the first one.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and then there's a multitude of boss battles in the second one, like with Mr. Freeze and
Grundy.
Solomon Grundy, Clayface at the end. There are just so many, and this game's lacking it, so that's a bit disappointing for me.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Batmobile. I'm still not over it. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the emphasis they put on it. It's cool that it's in the game, and it's a nice little tool to have, but they place way too much emphasis on it. And the controls for me, and this is another one of my small nitpicks about it, is I'm not crazy about racing games, but I've played racing games growing up being a gamer. And for me, it's always the right trigger you go and the left trigger you brake. And it's not that way in this game. And I understand that you have to have this battle mode for the Batmobile, but the left trigger is not the brake. It sends you into battle mode. And so there's so many times when I'm racing down the street, I'm going as fast as you can go. Then all of a sudden I go into battle mode because I'm trying to go around a corner. And it's super annoying.
See, I've made it work for me. I use battle mode as the brake.
Yeah.
And I usually am able to kind of maintain speed a little bit with like the thrusters with the Y button.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. Like, that fucked me up so much there when I was getting used to it.
Without spoiling it too much, what do you think of the story so far?
I don't want to spoil it. There's a certain aspect of the story that I think is really cheesy and dumb. It's just like one little nitpick. But besides that, I thought it was cool that they created the Arkham Knight villain for this game. And it's cool that it's kind of like a mystery about who it is, even though I think anybody really familiar with the Batman mythos probably guessed who the Arkham Knight was, but there's a lot of people that play these games that aren't, so they're probably going to be a little shocked whenever the revelation eventually comes about in the game. But like I said, just besides that one nitpick I have that I won't get into because of spoilers, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit, I guess. I enjoy the side quests too. The side quests have some good stories. I don't want to. There's this one side quest where somebody's leaving bodies throughout Gotham.
Yeah.
Have you done any of that?
No, I've done a little bit of the Riddler stuff, but other than that, I literally just tried to just fast forward through the story.
Well, the person who it ends up being isn't a very well-known Batman villain.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that, and the character is portrayed really well, so I kind of like that little side story. The side stories are pretty servicing, and there's definitely some emotional stuff throughout the main story as well that got me. So, I think I don't know how far you are with everything, but they're definitely, I think, hitting the right notes a lot. There's just been a couple missteps.
What do you think about the Joker?
Well, that's what I was trying to avoid, as to not spoil anything.
Well, I think everybody knows that he's in the game.
I didn't know he was in it.
I assumed that he was going to be even at the beginning where you see him burn, which I don't think is much of a spoiler.
I knew that part. Like, that was in a trailer.
But I really liked how they, spoiler alert, bring him back. I think everybody, even as I watched him burn, I was like, there's no way. You can't have a Batman game without Joker, so I don't think that's a spoiler.
Well, the whole reason everybody, and it was never officially reported, but it was almost like common knowledge. The reason they killed off the Joker in Arkham City is because Mark Hamill doesn't want to do the voice anymore, and he wants to retire from doing the voice. So that makes me think, well, if the Joker's even going to be in Arkham Knight, it's not going to be Mark Hamill. Well, spoiler alert, the Joker's kind of in Arkham Knight, not alive, obviously, and he's voiced by Mark Hamill, which is awesome. So I really love the way that they brought him back and made him kind of a part of Batman's subconscious, because everything you do kind of has a Joker commentary, and he actually makes some funny quips, and it's kind of cool having him around. But the other Joker story that I won't spoil, but it involves his blood, I think
that's stupid.
That's what I'm talking about. I think is cheesy and dumb.
Oh yeah, I hated that.
Like, saying his blood, I don't want to spoil it, so I won't go into detail. Yeah. But what they do with that portion of it is dumb, and luckily it doesn't last too long. but it's also the explanation for why Joker's in Batman's subconscious. So I guess it's give and take.
Yeah. There is another kind of nitpick of the story. Since they moved Arkham Asylum out to Arkham City and you got to kind of glide over Gotham, and they did the same in Arkham Origins, I feel like they needed a reason to get everybody out of Gotham so you could do that again.
Yeah, you have to.
And I appreciated the way that they did it, but it just seemed so easy.
It's better than Arkham Origins, where they're just like, oh, it's Christmas Eve, so nobody's out.
Yeah.
Like, at least with this one, it's like, Scarecrow attacks the city and is threatening it with bombs and his fear toxin. So, yeah, of course people would get the fuck out. But I also understand what you're saying. Every game has to have a reason.
Yeah. As soon as it started, I liked how you didn't start off as Batman. I kind of like that, but the character is not going to end well if you're starting off as them. But I thought that was kind of cool. Another little thing, when you're with and I probably should have brought this up when we were talking about the Batmobile, but when you're driving through with the Batmobile, you encounter these drones. I'm only playing on normal to get through the story mode, and then I plan on going back and doing all the side missions on the hardest difficulty. The drones just feel annoying to me. There's no sense of danger. I never feel like, because you can easily dodge them. And I mean, I just had a battle with like 30 of them, and not once did I feel any stakes at all, because I knew I was going to be fine. I dodge them real quick. It's just like you learn the pattern, and once you do, it's super easy to beat them.
Was it part of the story, or was it one of the side missions where you're defusing bombs that are lodged in the ground?
No, it was part of the story.
So there's these side missions where you have to defuse these bombs that are lodged in the ground throughout the city, and each time you do it, you get like an onslaught of drones and helicopters and all sorts of the Arkham Knight's militias, all of their vehicles basically coming at you, and you're in a small perimeter that you can't leave. And there were a couple times where I would die. Like it was pretty difficult, but it wasn't impossible. So I get what you're saying, but there are certain points where it gets a little bit more difficult, I guess. Yeah.
And then a little bit more with the gameplay. I like how there's puzzles. The story kind of interweaves puzzles a lot, but some of the shit just feels super annoying. Like earlier in the story, there's a part where Batman has to take these canisters out and put them. Literally, you're taking a canister out of a hole and putting it in another hole across the room, but you can't do it too quickly because they're very sensitive and they're gonna explode or whatever. I don't know what happens if you do it too quickly, but it just seems super tedious. Like there's no reason this has to be like this. Like they're just creating problems.
Oh, I think the whole point of that was to build tension around you thinking Batman's gonna die at that moment.
But I knew Batman wasn't gonna die because he's fucking Batman.
For a second there, I thought that he was going to die and you were gonna place. I didn't know how they were gonna do it. Like that moment with like the music and the way that everything's crumbling around you, and there's no other option but to get these canisters over. I just figured like, I don't know. There was a sense of finality to it. I don't know. So I interpreted that portion a different way than you did.
Yeah, I just thought it was annoying. And there's another part that kind of sticks out to me is when you're in the big blimps and you have to tilt the ship. Yeah. To make the canisters move so you can get through the ship. Super, super annoying. It's really, really tedious, and I don't understand why you put that in there. I mean, to draw the game out a little bit longer.
I think they probably did it. I know that as much praise as the Arkham games have gotten, the one complaint that people seem to have, from what I've read, is that it's very much a go to this room, kill a bunch, or not kill, hurt a bunch of guys, go to this room, knock out a bunch of guys, go to this room, knock out a bunch of guys. So they're putting puzzles in it, I guess, to break up the monotony. I don't know. But
I mean, there's always been the Riddler challenges where you're supposed to get the Riddler trophies, and there's always been a puzzle aspect to those. In Arkham Asylum, they seem most of them are pretty easy to get to. Yeah. And it's getting harder and harder to get all those trophies. But
this game especially is a lot of these trophies. I'm like, how the fuck do you get that?
Yeah.
So they've definitely gotten tougher differ with each game.
There's one that I kind of encountered that I was messing around. There's like monkey cages, and you have to get the monkey to go in. And I was just like, that motherfucker. He just his cage was open, but he didn't want to walk over there. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to? And then I realized, oh yeah, that's right. I'm not even collecting these, and I just walked away. But that was a little annoying.
That was weird. Like one of the Riddler. The actual riddles, not a trophy, but whenever you used detective mode was you had to go find the albino monkey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, that's weird.
Yeah. But that's all I got so far. We probably should have said this at the top of the show. We're recording this on July 3rd, and my neighbors are being dickheads and shooting off fireworks, so I apologize if you can hear that on the microphone. There's nothing I can do about that. And if you can't hear it, just ignore this.
All right.
That's all I got for Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not as far as you, but so far I'm liking it. I mean, other than the few nitpicks, I feel like I just did that the whole.
I feel like anytime we review something, even when we like it, we just like, oh, well, let's talk about all the shit we hate. But
no, I mean, I like it so far. I mean, the graphics are beautiful as always. It's fun for me just kind of gliding around Gotham. The silent like fear.
The fear takedowns?
Yeah, those are really cool.
Sweet.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun being Batman. So I'm liking it so far. It's probably gonna be pretty sad when I'm done with it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna leave a hole.
For sure. I'm
gonna probably fill with Elder Scrolls Online.
I thought you were gonna say with dick.
Or heroin. I don't know. No, I'll probably circle back around to this game and talk about it more on the podcast in the future when I finish it and 100% it, and I'll give it a star rating. But for now, we'll just keep playing.
All right, cool, man. So our next segment is comics. Tyler and I are big comic book nerds, and we read a ton of comics, and we just like to spotlight one. So, Tyler, what are you reading this week?
So I just read Constantine, the Hellblazer, #1. Came out a few weeks ago. So basically a relaunch for the Constantine character. I've never read Constantine comics before. In fact, I'm kind of sad to say, with the nerd I am, the most exposure I have to the character of Constantine is the Keanu Reeves movie.
That is pretty embarrassing.
I didn't watch the NBC show, and I've never read the comic before, so it's just something that I've never really gotten into. And I'm a bit disappointed because I was researching a little bit about the character, and I didn't realize that Alan Moore created him.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, he's one of the best comic book writers of all time. And, God, he's basically the creator of a lot of the intricacies that are within the Justice League Dark team. So, like Swamp Thing and Constantine. And I guess just those two, but you know,
I was going to say, did he do more than I'm not aware of?
I think that's about it. But, you know, he adds a lot of the creative work that went into that team. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, Alan Moore had nothing to do with this comic. So
okay, cool.
Get on to Constantine the Hellblazer #1. It has really great artwork, really unique artwork. It's not like any comic I've ever read before, so that was pretty cool. It has a very much adult tone to it, which I really appreciate.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that Constantine is bisexual.
Oh, yeah?
He's very bisexual in this comic, and it actually caught me off guard a little bit. Obviously, no problem with him being bisexual. Like, I think that's awesome that such a mainstream comic book character has
mainstream? I mean, I guess enough to get a TV show, but it got canceled.
Yeah. And he wasn't bisexual on the TV show, was he?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because I was reading, like I said, reading up on the character, and apparently that was a bit of controversy because NBC wouldn't pull the trigger and make him bisexual. But this first issue of this comic very much makes up for like he's going every page back and forth from hitting on dudes to hitting on chicks. Like
nothing wrong with that.
He's hitting on this guy on these 2 pages, and you turn the page and he's literally having sex with some chick on the next page. It really caught me off guard, especially not knowing that he was
Sounds
bisexual.
like my kind of comic book.
The story's a little convoluted because I'm not so familiar with the character. I don't think that this issue does a very good job of introducing new readers to Constantine. But since I do know that, you know, he's an exorcist and has various powers, I wasn't completely lost. But, all in all, I'd recommend it. I'm going to give it another issue or 2 to see if I'm going to stick with it, just because it was a little convoluted. But Constantine, from what I gather, is such a cool character that, if anything, it just makes me want to go back and read Alan Moore's stuff with the character. So, Yeah, Constantine the Hellblazer, #1.
He's not a character I'm super familiar with. I do like Swamp Thing, and so he pops up here and there with Swamp Thing. So most of my knowledge of Constantine, of the character, is just his interactions with the Swamp Thing. I loved the TV show. The first season was really good. I guess the first and only season was really good. I've actually never seen the Keanu Reeves movie.
I don't even remember it that well.
I've seen bits and pieces, and when I've seen, I have not been impressed.
The only part I remember is, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil part of it for you.
That's fine. It's been out for forever.
Constantine is notoriously a very heavy smoker, and at the end of the movie, he has like lung cancer or some shit, and he's dying, and the devil pulls the cancer out of his lungs, and it's like this black tar, and that's all I remember.
That sounds pretty awful.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I think it's been clearly established that's not a good movie by pretty much everyone except for me, because I think I'm the only one that hasn't seen it.
It's like, I guess you're right. I didn't just like break the news that Constantine is bad.
But I mean, it's definitely a character that I'm interested in. I really like the TV show, and I like the few interactions I've seen with him and Swamp Thing. Like, I was actually kind of hoping they would bring the Swamp Thing into the Constantine show, but I guess that's not the best strategy for a TV show.
That's not season 1 material.
No.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to season 2.
Yeah. Bring an even more under the radar character into a show that's not doing well because the main character's under the radar. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily the best strategy, but I was pretty bummed that show got canceled because I was really digging it.
All right, man. What comic are you reading?
I'm pretty much going through all of Secret Wars recently. I've talked a lot about the main title, Secret Wars book, and then I've talked about... Have I talked about Battle World? I don't remember if I did or not.
If you did, I zoned out.
Well, thanks for that.
No, I just really hate Secret Wars.
I read the Battle World, which I like it. Those are more like kind of one-off stories. And then, of course, I talked about Infinity Gauntlet #1, which I'm going to actually talk about Infinity Gauntlet #2. And I have been praising Secret Wars for a while now. I completely disagree with Tyler. I think it's great. I've liked all of the tie-ins, but this is the first one that I think I'll actually agree with Tyler. This comic was not good. It was super boring. It lost all of the gritty vibe of the first one that I kind of praised. I don't know. It was probably 3 or 4 episodes by now.
Yeah.
I mean, it completely got away from the Walking Dead gritty post-apocalyptic vibe that it had in the first issue, and it was super cheesy. And the mother comes back, cliffhanger in the first issue. If you haven't read it, I apologize for the spoiler, but their mother comes back at the end. And then it's this family, they're reunited with their mother, who's part of the Nova Corps. And she brings these little stars for all of them so they can join the Nova Corps. Well, the little girl refuses to because the dog can't come with them. Well, they change the dog into Nova Corps. And so they have a whole family and a dog that can fly now. And it's super stupid, and it felt almost like a video game tutorial because she's teaching them how to fly and shoot. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any of this. You basically took a comic that I really cared about these characters in one issue and completely made it just cheesy and boring in the next issue.
How do you take a comic book and call it the Infinity Gauntlet, which is the most terrifying weapon in the galaxy or in the universe or whatever, for Marvel, and then resort to doing shit like this with that title?
Well, I mean, there is a flash forward at the end where one of them, and they don't give away which one it is fighting Thanos with the gauntlet. So that was kind of cool, but it was, by then I really didn't give a fuck about this comic book.
Was it the dog?
It was not the dog. Unfortunately.
I'd pick up that comic.
No, it was super cheesy, and it was just I was rolling my eyes the whole time, which is pretty awesome. Well, I mean, it's pretty talented that I could roll my eyes and still read a comic book, but it was it was pretty ridiculous. I didn't like it at all. I'm assuming that you haven't read this one, Tyler.
No, I went to the comic book store yesterday and I picked up $70 worth of comic books, and it killed my wallet. I wish we would have recorded first, so I would have at least saved like $3 or $4 on not buying this one. But I did pick this up yesterday, and I'm planning on reading it.
Yeah, I would wait.
Well, it's too late. I have it. I'll read it and stash it
like,
away.
as I was reading it, I was like, God damn it, Tyler's gonna make fun of me so hard. Yeah, I was like, I can't defend this one. Like, as much as I really wanted to defend it, because I've liked Secret Wars so far. Yeah, I mean, it gave me nothing. Like, normally, like, when I trash something, I'm just like, oh, well, I liked this part of it. And to be honest, the artwork is still pretty cool, but the subject matter is just really cheesy and stupid.
See, for me, hating Secret Wars, though, I'm hating, like, the main Secret Wars title. Like, for me, it's just dumb and unnecessary. But some of the side comics I've really enjoyed. So I just finished the Spider-Man Renew Your Vows that you talked about a couple episodes ago.
I love it.
I fucking loved it.
It's not even a Secret Wars. Like, it technically is a Secret Wars tie-in, but it has nothing to do with Secret Wars.
Yeah, because what I hate about Secret Wars is I hate the whole Battle World thing. I really despise that, and I think that's what I'm hating so much about it. So whenever you have a comic like Renew Your Vows that just kind of takes place in a different continuity, it's a little better. All
right, well, that's all I have on Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, I'm still going to read it because it's a mini-series, and I'm just going to see it out, but I mean, I'm not looking forward to it. If there's more Thanos stuff, obviously I'd be a huge fan of that, but I don't know if it's just something that they're going to continue just to tease. He seems like a villain that just gets teased a lot, but you don't ever see anything really happen with it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I'm trying to think. I had an anecdote there, but...
And there's like, Star-Lord is in this for like a fucking page, and I don't even understand why. But at that point, I was kind of like speed reading it because I was...
Oh, I'm familiar.
Yeah, because once the dog started flying, I was like, this is bullshit.
When Star-Lord show up and go, oh shit, he's got the Infinity Gauntlet, and he goes and fucks off somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, man. You ready for our next segment?
Yeah, our next segment... if you're not familiar with the podcast, we just talk about the recent nerd news. Tyler gathers some pretty cool stories throughout the week, and he just presents them to me, and I talk about them.
Jesus, I wish they were pretty cool this week. I'll be honest, we're grasping for straws this week because I think a lot of stories are kind of waiting for Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Like, check back in 2 weeks and nerd news is going to be probably fucking awesome, but this week... we're going to talk about the Justice League Dark movie that I kind of tied into Constantine earlier. So, Guillermo del Toro has been talking about for like 5 years now how he wants to make a Justice League Dark movie. And his movie was going to have characters like Constantine and Deadman and Zatanna and all of these characters that we were just talking about in comics. And it turns out he's not attached to this movie anymore. So...
There's that,
which is disappointing, but I feel like anytime you put stock into a Guillermo del Toro movie, there's a 70% chance that you're going to be disappointed because he has so many projects going on at once and he drops half of them.
I feel like he's one of those guys that somebody says, oh, wouldn't this be cool? And you'd be like, yeah, that would be cool. And then there's an article, Guillermo del Toro's making a Justice League Dark movie. No, he just fucking said it would be cool. Like, he can't possibly think that he's going to do all of these things because he writes books. He kind of does The Strain. I mean, it's based on a book that he wrote. I mean, he does all these movies and he's just constantly doing different stuff. And I just can't imagine that he has time for all of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk of him doing a Haunted Mansion movie. I think we talked about this when we did our favorite Disneyland or Disney ride.
Yeah.
For a nerd favorite. And like Ryan Gosling was talking about being in it and it was going to be like a serious take on it. And that movie's never going to fucking get made.
For sure.
It's just, the problem is, unlike other people in Hollywood that kind of don't talk about stuff until it's like almost out, he just talks about fucking everything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I want to do this and I want to do that. And people run it as news stories and we all get our hopes up and then he just doesn't get around to it.
No, but he'd be perfect for that.
Oh, yeah.
If it ever got made.
which it will not. All right, so moving right along. Again, grasping at straws here. So Green Lantern, we've talked about, oh my God, it's just exhausting talking about these DC movies. Hopefully we have more substantial stuff to talk about whenever Comic-Con rolls around. But we talked about how Chris Pine was going to be possibly the next Green Lantern, and then we said, oh wait, no, he's going to be in Wonder Woman and be... Yeah. I forget, Steve Trevor, I think is the character's name. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm not very familiar with Wonder Woman. But now it's going back to looking like he might be the Green Lantern in the next iteration of it, along with the next Justice League movies, or the first Justice League movies. And not only that, but they're going to maybe have multiple Green Lanterns, and Jon Stewart might be around as well. Tyrese Gibson is really going for that part. Like, apparently he tweeted out, don't be surprised if my name is on the other end of a Green Lantern announcement or some shit. Like, he's full of himself, and I don't know if that actually happened, but... it'd be kind of cool, I guess, because you have all these different Earth Green Lanterns that you could bring into it, and obviously diversity is good, and it'd be great to have Jon Stewart in there, but it'd be interesting to see how they do it with multiple Green Lanterns.
I heard something, and this was probably just an interview with Mark Strong, but are they thinking about bringing him back?
I thought that... I mean, he would be an awesome Sinestro, but I would not think so. I would probably want to sever all ties with.
You would think so,
Ryan
but
Reynolds.
I mean, he killed it.
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome in just about anything, and he was the one bright spot in that movie, for me at least, but I don't think you bring him back. It's like J.K. Simmons was awesome as J. Jonah Jameson, and there was talk of them just maybe bringing him back for them whenever they rebooted it with the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But you almost just can't do it. It would confuse audiences.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would doubt it. But anyways, let's just move on from that until we have something more substantial from DC that they'll probably announce at Comic-Con. So this one's a bit interested because this movie is another film that's been through developmental hell. So Uncharted, there's been so many people attached to this movie. I think David O. Russell was attached to direct at one point with Mark Wahlberg to star, and people were pretty pissed about that.
That's quite the team.
Yeah, people were pissed about that. And whenever the Sony leaks happened, with the whole whenever Amy Pascal was running Sony, they had they had Seth Gordon directed or attached to direct, and they had some writers lined up. And it turns out like Amy Pascal basically got fired. She stepped down, but after all the Sony leaks, it was pretty much insinuated that she got fired or demoted. And a guy named, I forget his first name, but his last name's Rothman, is now running Sony. And apparently, where Sony before was thinking of Uncharted as their Indiana Jones movie, he's looking at it as more of a Resident Evil type movie, where that needs to be low budget and it probably isn't going to bring in a lot of money. So it's kind of in developmental hell now, and it's probably not going to get made for some time. So obviously this guy doesn't put a lot of stock into video game movies, which is probably a good thing.
Which is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, look at the track record.
Yeah. My problem, and I'm sure I've talked about this before on the podcast, is the thing about those games, and I've never actually played this game in particular. It's a PlayStation exclusive, and we talked before that we're both pretty brand loyal to Xbox, is the fact that the thing that's fun about video games does not translate well into movies because you are in control of these characters.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Like, I heard that they were trying to make a Grand Theft Auto game. That would be a terrible idea.
That is. Uncharted, though, I think is different in a way. Like, I've never played it. My roommate had a PlayStation 3 in college, and I would sit and watch him play every once in a while. And it looks like a really cool game with a really cool mythos. But again, the track record is just not there. It could be cool, like an Indiana Jones movie is cool. It's a very fun adventure game. A lot of, I keep losing my train of thought with what's going on outside. But
separates that from Indiana Jones? Nothing. The fact that
it's modern, I guess, contemporary.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the right one to comment on this because I've never played the games.
Yeah,
but I just don't. I think the thing that makes the game so great is the fact that you control him. And you don't control him in the movie, obviously, that we're not quite there with the technology.
I agree. I agree that's, I think, why a lot of video game movies fail. But I'm curious if a movie like Uncharted got made, if you and I went and saw it, two people that have never played the game before, if we would like it or hate it more than somebody who has played the game.
I mean, that's an interesting question. I've always heard Metal Gear game or a Metal Gear movie. I mean, yeah, that would be cool, but it would just be another spy movie.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand the appeal. I mean, obviously I understand the appeal from a studio standpoint. You're going to get all the fans of the game. You have an established franchise. It's so hard to establish franchises, and you're just basically buying the rights from an already established franchise. So I understand it from the studio's point of view, but they just never work.
Well, let's look at the Resident Evil movies. So I dislike the Resident Evil movies for the most part.
Yeah.
And the reason I dislike them so much is because they're so much different than the game is. So I play one of my favorite games, I've said it before, is Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
If they made a movie based on Resident Evil 4, I think I would love it. But the movies have gotten so far away from the source material, and the characters that I like from the games are really poorly used in the movie, that it just doesn't click for me. And that's the major reason why I hate those games. Or, I'm sorry, movies.
And they're bad movies with bad special effects.
Have you watched the first one recently?
Yeah.
It's bad. It does not hold up.
It's really bad.
I remember liking that in junior high. I thought that it was a cool movie in junior high. I thought a lot of dumb shit was cool in junior high.
Yeah,
but
I can imagine. You think a lot of dumb shit is cool now.
Yeah, like you.
Oh shit.
No, but the special effects in that movie did not hold up.
No.
I have two more quick stories. Iron Fist is a Netflix show being put out by Marvel, and it's probably the Netflix show we've heard least about.
Yeah.
So Daredevil's had a lot of success. We already know a ton about Daredevil season 2. Jessica Jones is pretty much wrapped up, and we know that Luke Cage is going to be in season 1 of Jessica Jones, and then he'll spin off into his own show. And the only thing we have from Iron Fist are the little hints that Daredevil dropped at that mythology in his first season. So it turns out, if the reports are to be believed, that Marvel's having a hard time cracking this character for TV because of the mythological. Oh my God.
Mythological?
Mythological. I think I just had a bit of a stroke. Mythological aspects to it, and just how it doesn't mesh with like the other characters that they're doing shows for, which I can see. Like, I'm not extremely familiar with Iron Fist, but what I do know about him is that he's completely different and completely not grounded like these other seasons are going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like, Daredevil is inherently grounded to begin with because he doesn't really have superpowers. I guess you can say that he kind of does because the way he sees or whatever.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's the way that Netflix kind of wants to operate with these shows. I don't think I think they're trying to stay away from superhero comic book kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're bringing in the Punisher for season 2 of Daredevil, which he is a very grounded superhero. Like, when you describe Punisher as a superhero, you're kind of using that term loosely because he's just a badass.
Yeah. I think and this is just speculation on my part, what they'll end up doing is waiting for Doctor Strange to be out, because Doctor Strange has the task of introducing this real world Marvel concept to magic and like the mystical nature.
Sure.
And once it puts it out there, kind of like Thor introduced the Marvel universe to aliens and whatever else. Once that's out there and it's established a little bit better through the cinematic format, that they could go ahead with Iron Fist a little bit easier. So I have no idea if that's what they're planning on doing, but to me that would make a lot of sense. I'm real
nervous about Doctor Strange. I don't think that's going to do well. I'm personally excited for it because I think the people behind it are going to do it justice, but I just don't think the general public are going to like it.
I had that thought about Ant-Man, though, and apparently it's tracking to do really big numbers.
Well, it's tracking to do Marvel numbers. It's not tracking to do, like, Guardians number.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm a little bit nervous.
I should have said that differently. It's tracking to do, like, Thor numbers.
Yeah.
And not Guardians numbers.
It's not going to be a breakout success.
No, but for Ant-Man...
Yeah.
Thor money is pretty good.
I almost, anytime I've seen the Ant-Man trailer a lot this summer, watching summer blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
And anytime it comes on, I almost sink down into my chair a little bit. For whatever reason, it's just, I feel like people are laughing at it, not with it. So it's surprising to me that it's tracking so well. I guess I'm just not interpreting the audience right.
I'm pretty excited for it.
I'm excited for it. I just, like, my wife looks at me and says, that looks fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because my wife doesn't like comic books and doesn't get it. And I'm just curious if the general audience is going to be more like that or more like us. And I mean, if tracking's to be believed, they're more like us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the more I see that trailer, which I've seen it like a shit ton, because for some reason, I'm not sure why, but I was watching the Pirates game the other day, and I watch it on MLB TV, and they don't show very many commercials, but every time there was a commercial break, and I just use quotes, even though you guys can't see me, there was a trailer for Ant-Man. And it was like 2 or 3 different trailers, and they just like switched it up. But the more I saw, I was just like, I think this is going to be Guardians-esque. Like, I think people are going to laugh with it.
See, to me, the reason that Edgar Wright dropped out of this movie was because Marvel pretty much was forcing him to make it part of the bigger universe.
Sure.
From his original script. And from what I've seen, they're really shoehorning the bigger universe into this movie. Like, there's posters with him, like, small and standing on Iron Man's suit or Captain America's shield or Thor's hammer. And then, from what I understand, there's all sorts of references to the bigger universe throughout this movie. So that makes me a little nervous that kind of stuff might be shoehorned in. But I think that I'm really going to like it because I've really grown to like the Ant-Man character quite a bit over the last year.
The new book is fantastic. And if the movie's anything like the new comic book, I'm all in.
And I like what they're doing with Hank Pym having already done his stuff and bringing in Scott Lang right from the get-go.
Yeah, it's kind of fast-forwarding the origins a little bit.
And they're going to build on the history of the Marvel Universe through this movie and through, like they're doing through Agent Carter. So I think that's cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just curious to see what kind of business it does.
Yeah.
This is off topic again. You brought up watching that Ant-Man trailer over and over. Me and my wife have been watching Drunk History on Hulu Plus.
Oh, yeah?
And every fucking commercial, Terminator Genisys.
Oh, really?
I've seen the Terminator Genisys trailer like 40 times in the last 2 days.
Yeah, so you want to transition to Terminator Genisys?
No, I'm sorry. I know it's a random, but there's a part in the trailer that's not even in the fucking movie.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
It annoys me every time. Something that Arnold says.
Oh, yeah?
Some dumb line that is just fodder for the trailer to explain it to audiences that haven't seen the movie yet, what's happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time I look at my wife and tell her it's not in the fucking movie. And
you know what really bothers me? And this is completely off topic, and I'm going to kind of destroy your segue if that's what you were attempting at.
No, I have one more story, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. Jurassic World. Have you seen the latest trailer?
No.
We were watching something, and it doesn't matter what it was. Me and my wife were watching TV the other day, and she didn't see it with us when we saw Jurassic World. And so she was like, oh man, I really want to see that after the trailer. And I was like, you know what? That pisses me off. Because in the trailer, they cut it so the raptor thing looks like Pratt's idea. And it's not at all. And that really pissed me off.
Like, he's reluctant.
Yeah, in the movie, he's very, very reluctant. Like, he doesn't even want to do it, like, at all. And they just cut it so it sounds exactly like it's his idea. That just bothered me. And you talked about the Genisys trailer, and that just kind of...
It seems to be... It happens a lot more with blockbuster movies.
Yeah, for sure.
They cut the trailers weird. That's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's your last story?
Last story... I tweeted this out earlier this week, and honestly, the only reason I tweeted it was to give a little jab to you.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that motherfucker never tweets. And then the one time, it's just to troll me.
Well, you tweet stuff all the time, and you put your opinion in your tweets and your Facebook statuses, which by all means do that. But a lot of times we have different opinions. I'm like, well, motherfuck, I don't agree with him on that. So on this one, I've tweeted out, like, look at all these Marvel comics that are coming out. Too bad we have to endure Secret Wars for another 4 months or whatever.
You're wrong.
So, yeah, that was, I just want you to know that was a jab just for you.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. And I was like, that motherfucker's trolling me on my own Twitter account.
But, so once we come out of Secret Wars in October, there's going to be like 45 new Marvel comics. And not all of them are new. Like, Ant-Man's going to continue with a new #1. And there's a lot of them that will be continuing, but there's also some other cool books coming out. So Doctor Strange is getting in a new book. A-Force is going to continue, which I think is pretty cool. It's like an Avengers team made up of just female characters. I'm not going to read through all of these.
That should be called the V-Force.
God damn it. No, that has the cheesiest like advertisement though. It's like a force to be reckoned with.
Oh God,
you get it. But Captain Marvel's getting a new book, which I'm really excited about because I want to read up on the character before the movie comes out in a few years. The Vision's getting a new book. Carnage is getting its own book. Like there's going to be 3 Spider-Man books, and Miles Morales isn't going anywhere. He's not obviously the ultimate Spider-Man anymore because that universe gets destroyed in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
But he's just Spider-Man, but there's still going to be an Amazing Spider-Man with Peter Parker. So a lot of cool stuff. Maybe we can put this link in the show notes or something, but there's some awesome things to look at and look forward to as far as Marvel Comics is concerned.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing up Secret Wars.
There's like an all-new Wolverine where it's a chick.
Oh, I thought you were done. That's how conversations work. You stop talking, and then it's my turn to talk.
I'm just looking at this list, and they're really turning a lot of stuff on its head, so it'd be interesting to see what my opinion is on it after I start reading some of these.
It wouldn't be interesting to see what my opinion is when you stop talking.
You love all of Marvel stuff. So you're just gonna...
I mean, I'm excited for Doctor Strange. I like that. I'm not crazy about the Spider-Man thing, but as long as Peter Parker's still going to be there, I'm going to read him, and I'll read the other Spider-Man. So it's fine.
Okay. So while we're talking about Miles Morales, this is controversial. So I'm just curious what your opinion is on it. Sony and Marvel got a lot of shit for announcing Tom Holland as the new Spider-Man.
Yep.
And we talked about it a little bit on our PopCon episode with Stevre Bro. He said that he wishes Donald Glover could have got cast.
Yep.
So Stan Lee said something which I thought was interesting. He's saying, you don't need to change Peter Parker's race or sexual orientation. We should be making new characters that are diverse and expanding comics and just making new characters with different abilities and yada, yada, yada. And there's no need to mess with these original characters. So what is your opinion on it?
I think he's right. I feel like if you made Peter Parker like change his race or whatever, it would feel like a money grab, like just to kind of grab the headlines. And
yeah.
It would be a gimmick. A gimmick is what the word I was looking for, not money grab. And I just don't think people would connect to it.
Yeah.
I think people connect to Miles because they've seen him grow as a character.
Yeah.
And just doesn't get flipped one day and Peter Parker's African American or Peter Parker's gay or whatever. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but I just feel like they got to see this character grow and they got to start to care about him, and he has his own story. And I don't know. I feel like it would be a gimmick and people wouldn't connect to it the way that I think they would connect to some other character that was his race or his sexual orientation from the get-go. Plus I'm kind of legally obligated to agree with Stan Lee.
I completely agree with what you're saying. I want to preface it by saying I wouldn't be offended if they
No, not at all.
Like I really don't give a shit, but I also agree there's no point in changing it just to change it.
Yeah, for sure.
Create new characters, and I don't know. I definitely kind of see where Stanley's coming from with that. So I just thought that was interesting. All
sure.
right, I'm done with nerd news.
Okay. So we kind of teased it a little bit earlier in nerd news. This main topic, we're going to review Terminator Genisys. It was released this past Wednesday. Tyler and I actually saw it on an early showing on a Tuesday night, which was really weird seeing a brand new movie on Tuesday night. I was a little bit pissed because there was like 2 other couples and they sat directly behind us and directly in front of us, which pissed me off because there was 6 people in the theater. I don't know why you had to sit that close to me, but you guys don't care about that.
You know what pissed me off about our movie going experience?
That guy?
Yeah.
Laughing?
The guy that laughed at everything.
Oh.
It was weird. Like there was stuff that wasn't even meant to be funny and he would laugh at like it was not laugh at because it was stupid or anything. Laugh at because he genuinely found it hilarious.
And his laugh was super annoying.
And super loud.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's just terrible good movie going experience.
As always, I'm going to give my little synopsis to Terminator Genisys.
This is my favorite part.
All right, so here we go. Similar to the events of the first film, Kyle Reese is sent back to 1984, but unlike the original Terminator film, he doesn't encounter a helpless waitress. Reese, Connor, and a reprogrammed T-800 must navigate an alternate timeline to stop Skynet.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought you would like that one. It was a little bit tough for me to read because my handwriting is not the best.
Well, you said Reese Connor, and then you paused for a second. I'm like, who the fuck is Reese Connor? But I got you.
Reese, comma.
Yeah,
Connor,
no, I got you.
Comma.
Reprogram T800.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So, broad strokes.
Broad strokes. This is a movie, and
yep.
There's a lot wrong with this movie. But there's some stuff that it does right too. I'm very split.
Name me one thing.
What I loved was that Sarah Connor's not some helpless female. She's a very strong female character, and he goes back and she doesn't need his help. She's ready to do this on her own, and I really appreciated that. I think that everyone in this fucking movie is miscast.
Oh, for sure.
I think the time travel in this movie is convoluted. I think the story's convoluted, and I don't know, it's just a really weird movie.
Yep.
That's broad. All right, what are your broad strokes?
Okay. I feel safe when I say that I hate time travel movies, with a few exceptions, which two of those few exceptions are the first Terminator movies. I think they're done really well. My problem with time travel movies, and I think I've said this a few times on the podcast, is I can't turn that part of my brain off.
Yeah.
If you make it super complicated, I'm going to be thinking about it the entire time and second guessing the movie the entire time. It's just the way I'm wired. No pun intended. Come on, laugh a little bit.
No, I'm just thinking about how dumb the time travel is in this movie. I'm sorry.
In this movie, I feel like they used a lot of like comic book science. That's what I call it. When you just say a bunch of scientific sounding words in what sounds like a sentence. There was a lot of moments where I just stopped and thought, what? Like, What are they talking about? Like, that doesn't, I felt like if the writers didn't know how to explain it, so they just made the characters say scientific sounding words, and then that was it. I don't understand how this movie works, and I like to think that I'm a fairly intelligent guy. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm terrible at science.
There's a lot dumber people seeing this movie that need to understand how it works. And if we don't understand how it works, they sure as fuck don't.
Yeah. But one thing that I do know is movies. I've seen enough movies that if your plot, I can say confidently that if I don't understand the plot of the movie, then you fucked up as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how this movie works.
No, I don't either. And I think part of it is that Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 does most of the explaining in this movie about time travel. And I couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying.
Yeah, well, that's just him in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And so it may be a knee-jerk reaction, but this may be one of the worst examples of that. The time travel just doesn't make sense, and I'm just like nitpicking and second guessing it the whole time.
It doesn't make sense. And then without spoiling anything, well, it's not spoiling anything because the fucking trailer shows it. So John Connor is bad in this movie at a certain point, and by the trailers, you know that he's hunting Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese in the T-800. They make a comment like, you can't kill us. We're your parents. He has some bullshit reasoning about why killing them won't kill him.
Yeah.
And I forget what exactly he says.
Well, it's like some alternate, the rules don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
No, they fucking should. Yeah. They really should.
Yeah. That completely destroys the whole point of fucking time travel in the movie.
Yeah.
Of any of the Terminator movies. The whole point is these things are getting sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor or kill John Connor so he can't stop Skynet. And
the only excuse for that is they just wanted a reason to try to keep the stakes high.
Yeah. But it's dumb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's like such a giant plot hole with such a shitty patch over it that doesn't make any sense.
Well, let's go from broad strokes just to go right back into the story. So the time travel doesn't make sense, like we mentioned. There's so many threads that just go absolutely nowhere in this movie. There's one where it was actually kind of a touching moment between Kyle Reese and Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, the reprogrammed T-800, where you see him breaking down. He has to go the long way, as they call it, because they have to time travel into, I think it was like 2017. and Arnold can't go with him, so he just goes what they call the long way. So he has to wait, was it 30 some years for them? And so at this point, he's starting to break down a little bit, but that never pays off. No. There was one scene where they're like hanging off the bridge and he has to pull them up. I was thinking, okay, here we go. Something bad's going to happen because he's breaking down, and then it never pays off.
Yeah. I think that was just an excuse for them to use the old joke.
Yeah.
Like old, but not, what is it?
Old but not obsolete, which he says like a million goddamn times.
It's just like movie. Hammering the point home, like, yeah, we get it. Arnold Schwarzenegger's fucking old, but we can make this work. And I feel like they just kept hammering that to the audience.
I really loved J.K. Simmons' character. I loved how Kyle Reese goes back and then he encounters these cops, and then one cop survives.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I like that, but again, that never pays off.
Yeah.
He's in one other scene basically, and then his character just goes away.
I didn't know he was in this movie till we were in the theater.
Yeah, literally when his name comes across the screen at the opening credits, I was like, J.K. Simmons is this movie? He played his character so fucking well, but he's criminally underused in this movie.
Well, it must have, obviously nobody knew he was going to get an Academy Award this year whenever he was cast and did this movie. Because
he was in Juno.
Yeah, but he probably cringed a little bit. He's probably like, God damn it, the first movie people are going to see me in after Whiplash, where I won an Academy Award, is Terminator Genisys.
Yeah.
So he's probably not too happy.
I really liked his character, though. I thought it was a cool
way to do that, yeah.
But basically it was a character created just so these main characters could escape a situation.
Yeah. How convenient is it that the new Judgment Day date was right around where we're at in time?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of shitty?
I understand.
Judgment Day's always been 1997, and then things happen in this movie and it turns into being 2017, which is roughly where we're at in time.
Yeah.
So it makes it the stakes higher for us.
Yeah.
But it's just bad storytelling.
Yeah, for sure. I liked the commentary that they were trying to say about how people are connected to their phones and everything. But at that point, you had just gone through 20 minutes of exposition about the time travel, and you had lost me. So by that point, I just didn't really give a shit about this movie anymore.
Yeah. There's a question, or there's like a mystery in this movie. I don't want to ruin anything, but basically the T-800 in this movie, the older one that ages, was sent back, and you don't know who sent this T-800 back.
Yeah.
And they never answer that question, and that really bugged me.
Well, I really felt like, and the ending was like this as well, that was to build more movies. Because isn't there supposed to be now a new trilogy? Like, this is supposed to be the start of a new trilogy.
Yeah.
I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, I had heard that too.
And this movie just felt like an excuse just to restart the franchise, which they tried to do with Salvation, and it didn't work, so they canned that.
I was actually kind of happy that this movie almost felt like it had a finality to it.
Yeah.
And then, until you get to like a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But the end of this movie feels like it's the end of the story for now. So the fact that they're going to make 2 more is kind of lame.
Well, I mean, I think I read that somewhere. I don't know if that's for sure.
No, I read that as well. I think you're right.
So, performance-wise, what did you think?
Like I said, in my broad strokes, I think almost the entire cast was miscast.
Yeah.
I will say this, and I'll swallow my pride a little bit. I didn't think Jai Courtney was that bad.
Bullshit.
I didn't think he was that bad.
No. The only thing that dude's got going for him is he's good looking. I don't understand why he's an actor. He doesn't have the chops for it. He is the new Sam Worthington. If Sam Worthington couldn't act, like, I think Sam Worthington is a decent actor. He's not fantastic.
That dude was so happy he was in the first Avatar. He's going to make like 3 more. No, he's not a good actor, but I thought he was serviceable as Kyle Reese.
I liked the dynamic that in the first Terminator movie, you see him as like this gritty guy, this hardened soldier that's kind of a badass.
Yeah.
In the first one, because he needs to be that guy in the first one. in this one, I liked how he was kind of lost. And that you mentioned a little bit was Sarah Connor was more of the badass in this movie.
Yeah.
And Jay Courtney just kind of looked lost in this movie. So it was a different dynamic, and I appreciated that. But he's not a good actor, and he just wasn't pulling it off. And he has zero chemistry with Emily Clark. Their little rom-com banter was awful.
I thought Emilia Clarke was bad in this movie too, though. And I loved her in Game of Thrones, but I thought she was bad.
Did I call her Emily Clark?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to point it out. I was just going to...
I'm so bad with names.
I'm pretty sure it's Jai. I called him Jay Courtney for a long time.
Jay Courtney? I call it Jay.
I might be wrong, but I thought on a talk show I heard him introduced as Jai. Either way,
it doesn't matter.
He's not a great actor. So, in post-apocalyptic war with Skynet, where do these guys find time to shave their chests? Like,
of course you would notice that.
It's like he's climbing into the time machine, and they're like no clothes, and he has like this perfectly sculpted body, this hairless. It's like,
maybe he's naturally hairless.
I don't know, man.
That's how bad this movie was. We were thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, Emilia Clarke her character was badass in this movie, and I love that. But it was really hard to take her seriously because she's like 4 foot tall.
Yeah, she's tiny.
It's hard to take her like seriously as an actress, or not as an actress, as a badass.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is fine because it's mythological. Oh my god, that's the second time
mythological
in this episode I fucked that word up. Mythological, and she has dragons, but in this it's just like, oh, just look at her, she's just a little girl.
Yeah. But you mentioned Jason Clarke. This was very disappointing for me. I mean, he's fantastic in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, especially now that I've seen all the production special features and everything. A lot of his scenes, he was acting to nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm even more impressed by his performance. And he was one of the saving graces for me going into this movie. It's because I hadn't been impressed with some of the stuff that I had read and seen going into it. I was like, but Jason Clarke's in it, and I really like him, so I think it's going to be all right. He did a decent job, but coming off of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
But like you said, it had a lot to do with the casting. I don't think he fit the profile of what I think of John Connor.
No, not at all.
I mean, he like you said, the trailer kind of spoils that he does become the villain towards the end of the movie, and he definitely has that creepy smile in this movie, and I think that worked. But for the most part, I don't know if it was a material. I always have this debate because I don't know if it's the material or the acting, or maybe it was a little bit of both. But since this movie was kind of a hot mess, I'm going to go ahead and say that it was the material he had to work with. And I'm not a fan of Jay Courtney, so I think him acting, there was a particular scene at the beginning where they just have a monologue, and Jason Clarke is like really just like giving it all, and then you cut to Jay Courtney, and I was like, oh, come on, man. He's just like sitting there. Man, it was brutal to watch.
Yeah. So how high off his ass is James Cameron?
Oh yeah, for sure. Super.
He had to have been paid off for that little video he put out praising this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the action. The action was fun. My problem with it was by the time it kind of revved up, I mean, there's action scenes throughout the movie. There's a cool scene where Sarah Connor saves Kyle Reese when he first gets sent back. That's pretty cool.
I love the 1984 stuff.
Oh yeah, that was cool. But towards the end, when the action kind of really revs up, at that point, I didn't give a fuck about this movie. I could care less. It was beautiful to look at, but I didn't care about any of these characters.
No.
I'm interested to see, and I'm really addicted to watching special features, but spoiler alert, didn't like this movie, so I probably won't be buying the Blu-ray. I'd be interested to see if that bus scene was practical effects.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was, but a lot of this stuff was digital, so maybe they just digitally did that, but it looked like it was practical. So I'd be interested in finding that out if it was or not. Especially after watching Mad Max, and all of that is practical effects.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously they didn't know that these two movies were going to come out so close together. But
I think this movie definitely suffered from Mad Max coming out before it and being so awesome and so practical.
Yeah,
it
for
really
sure.
put a damper on this movie.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got really,
Okay.
for this movie. It was a turd.
I mean, there were parts of it that I enjoyed. Like, I wasn't bored sitting there. Like, it was a popcorn movie, but I mean, it was bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying. I'm just trying to say that it wasn't all bad, but it was mostly bad. I guess that's where I'm getting at.
I mean, there was a few things that I liked here and there, but for the most part, the time travel really bothered me more than that time travel usually bothers me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like the first Terminator movie where you actually time travel, right?
Yes.
The other ones,
they just hint at it.
Yeah, they're just like, this person came from the future. So this is the first one where you actually get to see the Terminators go back. Yeah, so, and that's, I think, where they kind of fucked things up logically.
Yeah.
Where the other ones, dealt with time travel, but it didn't deal with the physics of time travel and like the convolutedness of time travel that we see in other movies that make them, hard to wrap.
And that's probably one of the reasons why they never did this movie before now, because we've seen what happens already in the first one.
Yeah.
So if you send them back and you show us that happening, we know the rest of that story.
It's like, how many times can you make a movie about them stopping Judgment Day?
Yeah.
Every fucking movie.
They just have to keep moving Judgment Day back.
Yeah. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The first two Terminator movies are so great.
Yeah.
And they just shit all over it with these last three.
I think Salvation is definitely better than Genisys.
Oh, I enjoyed Salvation.
Yeah.
I thought that was the movie I wanted to see, was post Judgment Day, John Connor leading a fight against the machines, and then you end it with them sending back the T-800 and John Connor sending back Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Like, I think that if they would have continued those movies, that it would have been watchable, but instead they made it this mess and injected the franchise, or what they think they did, and now it's just this convoluted thing that doesn't even resemble the original Terminator movies.
I swore that I would never watch Rise of the Machines again, but I'm actually kind of curious to watch it again to see if I like it more than Genisys.
I'm curious too. I haven't seen that movie since I saw it in theaters junior high.
Yeah, I saw it when it came out. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it when it came out on video, and I was not impressed, and I swore I would never see it again.
Here's the kicker. I own it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I might have to borrow it from you and watch it again.
I own all four of the Terminators because I'm a completionist.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I'm going back and forth on this. God damn it, I'm probably going to buy Genisys.
Nah.
That's awful.
No, I'm not going to.
I don't think it'd be a new release by.
Oh, yeah.
But it'd be
Black Friday or something. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, obviously we're not going to give it very good star ratings, but why don't we just go ahead and...
I bet I'd give it a better star rating than you do.
Okay. Then what are you going to give it?
Oh, now I'm second guessing it. I'm going to give it a 2.5.
Oh, yep. I was going back and forth between 1.5 and 2. I think I'm going to give it 2 because there are some good things in it, but it's just kind of a mess with the story.
It's a mess. I gave Tomorrowland a 2.5, and I was more... This movie kept my attention more than Tomorrowland did. So there's that. It doesn't have any originality like Tomorrowland had, but at least it wasn't boring. And
I don't know. It's tough because I don't think I'll ever watch Tomorrowland again. And I think I may watch this movie eventually again.
If it was on TV, I'd probably sit.
But I think that's only because I like the franchise. I don't give a fuck about Tomorrowland.
Yep, exactly. You're not invested in any of the characters in
But for me, so far, this is the worst movie I've watched in 2015.
I definitely wouldn't go that far for me, but it's not great.
Just curious, what would your movie so far, just off the top of your head?
Oh, off the top of my head? Dude, I don't know.
I mean, I have a list of like Strange Magic, Poltergeist, Tomorrowland.
Poltergeist. I hated Poltergeist more than I hated this.
Okay.
Poltergeist was less original than this was, and that's hard.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wrap it up. We're going to end the episode like we always do with a nerd favorite. It's my week this week, and Tyler's going to hate me, but like I mentioned before with the fireworks, it is the 3rd of July, so obviously we'll be celebrating the 4th of July tomorrow. So I'm going to ask what your favorite patriotic movie is.
Goddamn.
And why don't you go, Tyler? We're going to change it up because I honestly forgot what my answer was because I didn't write it down. So Tyler, what is your favorite patriotic movie?
I guess this is tough because it's off the top of my head, but the movie that comes to mind when I think of patriotic movies is actually not that patriotic. It's Team America: World Police. Just a hilarious movie. Obviously, everybody knows it. Brought to you by the people, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, who created South Park. Just a hilarious movie and kind of very tongue-in-cheek about America as a whole. And just, I don't know. It's a good movie as far as like a social commentary goes. And it's also really fucking hilarious. So I would say, I guess it doesn't really count again because it's not really patriotic, but I'm going to use it anyways. And I'll say that that's my favorite patriotic movie off the top of my head.
Have you ever seen the unrated version?
Yeah, fucking hilarious. Oh my god,
that's awesome.
I remember when that movie came out in theaters, I was hearing just how funny it was, and I was telling my group of buddies, I was like, we got to go see Team America, it's so funny. And they're like, no, we want to go see The Grudge. So that we all went and saw The Grudge, and it's like, oh, it's fucking terrible. And months later it came out on video and we all watched it, and they're like, oh, that was hilarious. It's like, yeah, that's right, fuck you guys.
Did you pee on them?
And then I peed on them and shit on their face.
But yeah, that movie's great. That movie's hilarious.
Yep.
I'm kind of embarrassed because my pick is Saving Private Ryan, and I can't believe that I forgot that because I love that movie so much. It's one of those movies that when it's on TV, okay, well, this is what I'm doing for 2 hours is watching Saving Private Ryan. That opening scene where they're retaking Omaha Beach is just fantastic. I love Tom Hanks in this movie. Vin Diesel is actually surprisingly good in this movie. The little that he's in it, and that's probably actually why he's good in it because he's barely in it. But just the band of brothers, that type of feel of this movie, that you kind of fight for the guy next to you, that sort of thing. I mean, Barry Pepper's character is just fucking a badass in this movie. I was pretty bummed when, spoiler alert, he dies. I mean, they pretty much all die.
Yeah.
But that end scene with them is just fantastic. It's so well done because it kind of goes back and forth where they're going to actually pull this off. And I just love that movie so much.
Yeah, you made me feel like a piece of shit for picking Team America because you're right. That's such an amazing movie. It's probably the best war movie ever made.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I do love that movie.
Yep. So that is my favorite patriotic movie. I kind of shit the bed on that that segment because I completely brain farted. We did this at like the last minute, decided on the nerd favorite. So I forgot to write mine down, but I'm a little embarrassed. I couldn't think of Saving Private Ryan, which is like one of my favorite movies of all time. But, yeah, that's my favorite patriotic movie.
All right. Awesome, man.
As always, you can follow us on Twitter at The Nerds Podcast. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Nerd Podcast. Vote for us for Podcast of the Month at podcastland.com. Follow us on Google+. Rate, subscribe, all that good stuff on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any good podcast directory. We're on it. Definitely check out our new YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. Comment on the videos. I think that's about it. I mean, I can't think of any. Oh, email us, the nerd you're looking for at gmail.com. Any suggestions, comments, whatever. We'll definitely check that out. Can't think of anything else.
I think that's about it, man.
All right. For Patrick Kuhn,
Tyler Hunt,
we are the nerd you're looking for. Take it easy.
See you guys. I'm sorry, I just got really distracted by fireworks, and so
they're being really douchey about those fireworks.
But America, man, come on,
America.
Yeah,
it's not even the 4th of fucking July yet. God damn it! You're ruining our podcast. God damn it. God damn it. If you guys can't hear the fireworks, I apologize that we keep stopping and acknowledging something that you can't hear.
It'd be funny if the fireworks don't get picked up on audio and they just think that we're like having strokes or something.
Oh man, my dogs are never going to go outside again. God damn it.
At least they're not barking. Then it'd be all sorts of stuff we're dealing with.
Yeah.
All right. We're a little off topic here.
Just a tad bit.